had my issues throughout life. So we have this quote that I repeat every single day. Episode. My last question is, if you put a billboard anywhere in New York City, what would it say? What's up, Lug Life family? Zach here. Episode 12 of the Lug Life Podcast. I'm here with Daryl and Ronnie. We're going to do an internal podcast. Shout out to Astoria Bier Cheese for hooking this up, this amazing space. Everyone start off by saying which beer they chose and why.
What's going on, peoples? Daryl here, a.k.a. Junk Luggers People's Champ. I chose this KCBC beer. Kings County Brew Collective, only because of the can, the way it looks. I'm not a big beer drinker, so I'm willing to taste stuff, but I don't really like it like that. But I chose this can because it had the Great Gatsby theme on it. So this is the Great Gatsby, which is pretty good actually. Better than I thought it would taste. What you got over there, Sir Ronnie?
Are you a big F. Scott Fitzgerald fan, Daryl?
What did Fitzgerald do to you?
Fitzgerald didn't do anything to me, but he wrote The Great Gatsby, Daryl.
Nah, I know that. Genius.
Are you sure?
That was a first of all, that was a family
What did you pick,
guy.
Ronnie?
I picked Narragansett's Black Cherry Shandy.
Shout out to Rhode Island.
Shout out to Rhode Island.
And I went with the Beard Company. Stunner for the win. 7% IPA from Stonington, Connecticut. Shout out to Beard.
Trying to get wrecked.
So we're here today for multiple reasons. One, we got a lot of feedback that everyone loved who you are and how natural you guys are on camera. But two, you guys are really running the day-to-day grind of junk luggers and lug life. And I think for a lot of people watching, they might wonder themselves, like, what is my purpose? So, like, did you guys always want to be junk luggers? Or did something, when you were a kid, like, what did you picture you doing at this age?
I'm curious what you have to say about this.
Well, first of all, that's a kind of complex question. Did we always want to be junk luggers? Junk luggers wasn't around that long when I was a kid. That's number
Great
one.
answer.
That's number one. And I guess the funnest thing about removing junk when you're a kid is hanging on the back of a garbage truck, So I've done crazy things like that, just hanging on the back of a truck, which is dangerous. Almost killed myself. But what did I want to do as a kid? I had a couple things I thought I was going to be. First, I thought I was going to be a professional athlete. I thought I was going to be a football player.
Too little.
Maybe.
Let him finish
my
running.
Speed, you know what I mean? I had a lot of qualities, whether it was basketball, football, those were my two things that I thought I was going to be. Then once I became a teenager, I thought I was going to be...
He's got it.
Okay, I got you.
He's got it.
Then once I became a teenager, I thought I was going to be an attorney. For a long time, I wanted to be an attorney. I even went to school thinking I was going to be my end result, but life take you in other directions, and then I somehow found myself here. Life brought me here. And it was a good ride, What about
Love
you,
it.
Sir Ronnie?
You had a good answer. It's going to be hard to follow that answer.
Is it now?
It is. Funny enough, I also wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a defense attorney.
Me too.
I wanted to represent criminals and help get them out of trouble if I could.
Of course.
Everybody in this country deserves a good attorney to represent them, and I wanted to do that. Unfortunately, life took me down a different path. I learned a lot, though. I learned a lot that could have helped me in the legal practice. Unfortunately, at a certain point, I veered off a little bit further to the left. However, just like you, life took me towards the junk luggers. Life experience put me in a position where I was living in Astoria. I was looking for a job, and sure enough, the junk luggers popped up. I had experience in moving. I had experience in logistics, dispatching, knowing the boroughs and all that comes with it, and customer satisfaction and customer service and all that good stuff. And the junk luggers, it was like kismet. Junk luggers found me, and I couldn't be happier.
I too wanted to be an attorney, and I'm not even just saying this to say this. I still remember meeting one of my dad's friends. I think he showed up in a BMW, and I said, man, that guy's so cool. And I said, excuse me, sir, what do you do for a living? And he said, I'm a patent attorney. And I said, patent attorney? What does that mean? He goes, people have ideas, and I trademark them. And I said to myself, I'm going to be a patent attorney. And then life went on, and I realized like the thing that made the most sense was getting into accounting, because my dad owned an accounting firm that he was excited about giving me. And then Hurricane Sandy happened, and Josh came to me and was like, I'm going to give you an opportunity of your lifetime. I was already involved, but at that point I was working for Deloitte, and I came back as territory manager for New York City, Long Island, and New Jersey.
Okay.
And I basically did that until I had all the licensing and money, and became, I think, the second franchise owner of Junk Luggers of Manhattan. 1 year later, we got Brooklyn. And then last year, we got the Bronx.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's crazy how life just takes these fucking turns on you, right? And when you think about that, in the moment, you're like, how am I going to get out of this hole? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you realize that, like, that experience makes you who you are.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't change anything. The struggle is what built me into who I am today. The struggle is why I've got the confidence that I have to say what I need to say and do what I need to do, or at least what I believe is the best course of action for me or my goal in that any given, in that circumstance. But absolutely, I wouldn't change a day of it.
Absolutely. I remember, I got in a lot of trouble growing up. So I wanted to fight the law with the law. And that's the reason why I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to fight the law with the law.
You're one of the most loyal people I've ever met. Yeah. I would trust you guys with anything. And I think that's really what the successes come from, right? Like,
that's true.
You guys make mistakes, just like I do.
Yep.
One being today on the way here, Ronnie and Roger were like, where the hell are you guys? And I realized I took us to Ditmars Boulevard instead of Broadway. So when you think about that, what kind of advice would you give to someone that's on the up and up right now, trying to figure out how to do what I'm talking about, where you trust individuals not only with your livelihood, but also with your future?
So one thing that I realized growing up was that, listen, societal laws and your values are two different things, and sometimes those things line up, and the more you do in life and the more accomplishments you have in life, and the more, I guess, legitimate money you make and the people you love and you surrounding yourself with family, the more those things line up, and your values really have to be strong. And if your values are strong and you keep pushing forward and somebody's on the up and up and they're doing a good job, just don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the people around you. Don't forget what brought you to the position you are in today. Because all those struggles that you went through yesterday, they're a step backwards. It's so easy to get back there. So just keep pushing forward. Keep doing what's bringing you success.
And like, what do you consider to be the values that you look for?
Loyalty. Loyalty is one of the biggest. Honesty. I don't care what I do. If I make a mistake or if I say something to someone maybe I regret, I man up to that. If there's one thing I don't do, it's I don't bullshit. I don't lie about things that make no sense to lie about. I don't lie about anything, because at the end of the day, it's just a struggle. Who needs another struggle? Be honest, man up to it, and deal with it. Face everything head on.
Like, what has stuck out to you in terms of your key to success?
Drive. You have to have drive in order to go far. You have to have drive, and you have to be able to maintain it, because you can have as much drive as you want, but at some point you either plateau or you hit something internally that prevents you from reaching your limit. You understand? And you got to figure out
100%.
the balance between going further and being complacent where you are. And a lot of times, people get caught up with because you deal with a lot of stuff internally, mentally. A lot of people don't talk about it. You don't have a lot of outlets to go to, or you rather not even mention it. And then that eats you up inside, and it slows you down. It may not stop you from being great at what you're doing, but it may stop you from being greater than what you are.
Well
Man,
said.
I love that.
Well said.
I think about people saying to me, man, you're lucky, right? Oh, you've been so lucky. You've been so blessed having successful businesses. But really, I couldn't agree with you more. It's nothing to do with talent or luck. It's that when everyone was out partying in their 20s, I was working. When everyone was hungover on a Saturday, I was grinding, right? And I think that for all the listeners out there, if you're in your 20s and you don't know what you're doing, or you're in your 30s or 40s, and you got so much more of life. And at any point, you could just decide, I'm not okay with what I'm doing, right? And you're never going to accomplish anything that's rewarding. You're not going to accomplish right away. But if you really hammer that and you carve your craft day in, day out, I guarantee what people consider overnight success or luck with the junk luggers, I mean, you both know how much it really takes, right? And how many hours we're talking about. And then at some point, it's nothing to do with me. That's I think the most insane part, looking at you guys and seeing how much your leadership affects the business. My leadership affects you guys, but really, you guys affect the success. Does that
I was talking about this to Pete very recently, actually, and like any other business, we have our struggles and we have our challenges. But at the end of the day, I do think that a big reason on why we're successful is because of the fact that we look at it as our own. Yes.
Because it is your own, right?
In a way, regardless of, whose name is on the bank account, all of our futures are determined on the success of this business, which means it is ours. To a degree, it is ours. And, the success of this business goes far beyond what you do to it. It goes far beyond what I do to it. It's what we do to it. It's what we bring to it. And that's tremendous.
Yeah, I think something that's really hard for people to understand is compensation, right? You guys are basically indirectly deciding your compensation, right? And although I'm not probably in this conversation anymore, I feel like you guys know what a superhero is with more responsibility brings. What is that?
With great power brings
great responsibility. And I feel like that's probably similar to what you guys are going through, right? Where it's your review's coming up. So you think to yourself what were those big high payoff activities that I brought to the table and added value for? And then what am I going to do differently next year? Does that resonate with you?
It does, because that's something that you always think about. I don't think about that throughout the entire year.
Of course.
I don't, because I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm just making sure that I perfect my craft and keep doing what's expected of me. And I feel like everybody at some point feel like you fell short. A lot of times I feel like maybe I didn't do as great as I thought. And I may even grade myself way harder than other people are grading me.
Totally.
And then you look at the review and you're like, oh wow, all right, I'm doing a lot better than I thought I was. I done beat myself up, and I see that you guys picked me up. So it goes a long way.
Yeah. When I say value, what do you think of?
When you say value, what do I think of?
Because I know that I've been hammering this down your throat for as long as you've been here.
What I can add to the team, what any individual person can add to the team, whether that's having a conversation with somebody else and bringing them up to a better place so they could perform better, whether that's me performing better on a certain something that I know I'm lacking on, or whether it's me just improving on a day-to-day basis. What do we say? That improve 1% every day and you're 100% better in 100 days? You know, it's value goes to a lot of things. And when you talk about compensation, it's a difficult topic for me because the further along I get in this business, honestly, the less it matters. You know,
don't you think that's because you're in a position where you can afford?
Yes, you've been good to me, but after the last one, after, you know, I got my last promotion and, you know, I really felt the value and all of that. And as I do everything else in my life, you know, the individual compensation means a lot less to me than the overall success of the business does, because the overall success of the business is going to determine my future. And the money now is great, but the money later is going to be so much better. And that's what I'm after. You know, it's so my son doesn't have to work as hard as I do. I think that's what's important to me.
I want my kids to work even harder than me.
I don't, because I went through fucking hell, you know? Hell to get to where I am.
No, I want them to work. You know, I'm going to tell you why. Don't get me wrong. I don't necessarily want them to
struggle.
Of
course.
You know, I don't want them to struggle.
That's, I think, what I meant.
But at the same time, I want them to not feel like, you know, life is handed. I remember years ago, I heard Bill Gates. Bill Gates said that, you know how rich Bill Gates is. Bill Gates said he's only leaving his children $5 million. Yeah. And when I first heard that statement, I was upset. This was before I had children. Yeah. I was upset. I said, damn, you got all this money, you only leaving your children $5 million. How selfish of you.
I remember having this discussion with you.
Not realizing how much of a philanthropist he was. But I was just bothered by the fact that you have so much money, you only leaving your kids but so little, you know? And then you have children. And then you're like, oh, I love you. They're great, you know? But then in reality, a lot of people don't like to say it, but children are pieces of shit when they want to be. You know what I mean? That's like half the time. You know, you look at yourself.
It's
like,
not even their mistake. It's because they're 18 years old and their priorities are different.
Yeah, you know? And then after having your own children, I realized that, you know what? I agree with him. No matter how much fucking money I have, I'm not going to leave them all the money because, again, how well did they treat me while I was here? You was okay. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was good. I grew up. I was a piece of shit too. You understand? But you grow and you mature, and as an adult, you become better. But it may, with children and raising them, may realize, like, they don't appreciate you as much as you would hope they would. So because of that, I'm not leaving them a exponential amount of money. You understand?
I don't want to leave my kid money. I want to leave my kid something to build.
And that's great. That's what you need.
I want to leave my kid either a business or put him in the direction to help him start his own business and then let him loose. Yes. You know, if he succeeds, he succeeds. If he fails, that's on him. I'll be there for him to fall back on, but at the end of the day, I want to give him a direction. You know, that's what I want to do.
I feel like I understand where you're coming from, but to me, I'm not going to give Marley shit. What I'm going to give her is the emotional intelligence, the emotional support.
Yeah.
You know me, like, even now, she's a baby, and I'm walking behind her, like, everything she does, I'm like, I'm positive about, right? So, like, to me, shout out to my dad, shout out to my mom. That's what they gave me. They didn't give me materialistic items. Like, I remember being 16 years old, and I bought my first car, Honda Accord. It was like 97, maroon color, ugly color. And I remember, like,
first of all, my first car was a minivan.
Good, but like, looking at that, right? Didn't that build character? Like, didn't that teach you to not be focused on that and to be focused on things that matter? And now looking back, I remember you and I went and grabbed lunch a couple months ago. I can't believe how fast time goes, but you saying, what was it? You said, your daughter said to you, I know you're hiding it somewhere. What was it?
First of all, my kids think I'm rich. That's the problem, you know? So, because
What?
Because I say no all the time, they feel like, you know what, you guys are doing too well to never have money. So they felt like she just felt like I was hiding money from them, and I just wasn't willing to share.
That's what it was. She thought you were hiding money.
Hiding the monster.
Yeah. So,
I keep telling my kids, I said, listen, I got money, we don't got shit. You understand?
My first car was a 1984
84 Corvette.
And I think Danielle, we were on our honeymoon and she got furious at me. She never drinks. She was drinking. She got furious at me. How dare you say that your parents didn't give you anything? Like, the emotional support is worth way more than the financial support. And I remember thinking to myself, like, she's right. Like, you know, I was always encouraged. I was always told you can be anything you want to be. And thinking about a lot of the people that you come across in New York City, man, they've had to hustle since the day they were born, right? Survival of the fittest. And I think looking back, like, yeah, like, I do want to give my parents credit for that.
Absolutely.
Because that's huge. And you do that for your kids. I know it.
Yeah. They care about time more than kids care about time more than money, but they think money grows on trees. They think there's no limit to what they can get. That's why I tell them no all the time. I tell them no for a principle.
Children, my baby is 2.5 months old.
You should.
I need to spoil him a little bit first.
Yeah, so let's go into that because the podcast has to know what Ronnie was saying pre-baby.
Oh, Jesus.
This is going to be on record for him to look back at.
So let's go through that, Daryl, because I remember you and I just having a fucking field day over this. What were some of the crazy things Ronnie said that obviously some of them he's lived up to, so let's not give him that.
Oh, you can't take away without giving a little bit.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is, like, Ronnie was telling us he wasn't going to be excited about the kid, and he thought it was going to be more of a chore than actually like a blessing. Which, Hunter, when you watch this, we probably won't even have YouTube by this point. Will be at something in your eye, right? It will be like a Google Lens that you put a contact in. But
Hunter, Daddy loves you.
But like, what other things stick out to you, D, that he said he was never gonna get excited about being a dad?
Watching the baby.
That's a great point.
Can you elaborate on that? Watching the baby in what terms? For 10, 15 minutes? Or for...
A day.
That's never happened.
It never happened yet. He's still small.
It's never happened yet. He's 2.5 months.
When he starts wiping and changing himself, I will watch the baby.
I can't wait.
Are we going to keep going? What else did Ronnie say?
How about you?
Yeah.
Thinking about that, like, what did you think pre, and then what's happened now?
Hunter, Daddy loves you. I was miserable. I was miserable for 9 months, 8.5 months,
Shout out to
just,
Melissa.
Just over 8 months.
You're a saint, Melissa. You're a saint.
I was miserable. I was depressed. I had postpartum depression prepartum. So, yeah, I was not happy. I thought my life was over. I enjoyed my life up until that point. I liked being able to do whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it, and I was dreading the arrival of this child.
As if you wasn't 37.
39 years old now, but thank you. I appreciate the compliment. The day that Hunter was born and I held him, it was unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life. I felt a responsibility and some sort of debt to this child who I just met, that I have to look after you, I have to protect you, I have to make sure that you're safe and you're taken care of, and I just loved him more than I could ever imagine I would ever love him.
It's great coming from a guy who has 2.5 months. Just like I always tell you things, Dean, you're like, just wait, brother, just wait. It's gonna get crazy. Thinking about what it means to be a father, like what does that feel like to you?
Well, for one, I feel like parenthood is the act of being responsible after being irresponsible. You understand? You're just doing a responsible thing. So being a father, just being responsible. You know, you try to make sure that you lead the kids in the right direction. And as we know, you can preach till you blue in the face, but the kids is going to really pick up whatever influences from their peers. Because that's where I got most of mine from. I didn't listen to what my parents said. I listened to all the dumb advice my friends said. Whether it was good or bad, I had to try to figure out which one worked for me. And that's kind of the same thing that you do with parenthood, and it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience, because it's like you have this little thing that, you know, they say they love you so much, but it's like they try so hard to get on your nerves. You trying to make me snap, that's what you're doing? You understand? You know, so it's tough, it's challenging. Is it fun? It's not fun, it's responsible. It's a difference. It's not fun, it's responsible. I remember one of the funniest things. Well, it was funny for me, but it was disgusting. But all right, so back when I was living with my mother and I had my oldest daughter, she was about 2 years old or something, and I don't know what she ate. She must have had diarrhea of some sort, but she took a Hoover deuce. Like, she shitted so much it came out of her diaper. It was on her stomach. It was down her leg, and my mother wanted me to clean that, and I'm like, no. You staying outside in the backyard.
Right.
I got the hose. I was gonna hose her down. My mother's like, you cannot hose a baby down. I said, okay. My point exactly. Why not? I'm not about to clean this up. So it's either you clean it up or I clean it up. But I'm not about to do none of that shit. That was disgusting, you know. But it does have its perks. It has its rewards, and it's really all emotional rewards. All that other stuff comes later on, you know. But while they're children, especially before they're like 9. Those are probably like their best years of their life, because the older they get all snotty, little attitudey, especially once they get to the teenage stage. And I got 2 teenagers. I have 2 teenagers, and they are not a walk in the park. Trust and believe.
I have a discipline closet for all that.
I wish I had a discipline closet that I can use, but I can't.
It's a walk-in closet.
Mhm.
I removed everything from it, and I put Velcro on the walls, like wallpaper. I built a little suit made out of the other kind of Velcro.
Okay.
So when he misbehaves, stick him to the wall.
So I got an empty picture frame right now for your face when I see you on the news. I'm like, oh my God, that's my guy, Ronnie. I knew he was going to end up here one day. Look at the kid. He didn't deserve that shit.
I'm here with Ben.
Hello.
And first off, thank you so much for having us and letting us do our podcast here.
Sure.
He's only been here for a couple weeks, so we're not going to put him on the spot too much. But for people that love beer, why should they come here?
There's like a beer culture going on here. There's a lot of beer enthusiasts that come through, and our taps are always changing. They're getting new, exciting stuff all the time. I haven't seen the same beer twice since I've worked here. Like you said, I've only been here a month, but nothing's repeated itself yet.
Where are you from?
Originally England, but
thought so.
I've lived in Queens for 11 years, and I lived in Texas for a while, and Jersey for a while, so all over the
So
place.
when you drink, does the UK accent come out?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because right now I could hear like the American and what part, like obviously this is a very small business, but like what have you learned so far about being part of small business? Like what's crucial to be successful?
I think here it's like they've really built a community around their product and around this place. And they have, I see the same people coming in, but there's like, most bars just have like a couple regulars.
Right.
This bar has like a whole crew of regulars, and every day I'm meeting new people and they're like, oh, that's another regular. And then sure enough, I see that same person like a few days later.
That's awesome.
There's definitely like a really loyal, really big crowd of people that just keep coming back. And yeah, I think they're beer enthusiasts, cheese enthusiasts,
Awesome.
fine food enthusiasts.
Shout out to Astoria Bier and Cheese. Thank you, Ben. We
Sure.
really appreciate the hospitality. And it doesn't get more real than this. What happened? Your refrigerator went, and they asked us to move over to this table from that table so they can get on the roof. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
Hustle and figure it out on the go.
For sure.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We just went inside, grabbed our next round of beers. So let's just go around, tell why you picked the beer, and what's your first impression of the taste.
From a fake beer drinker like myself,
Who I needed to explain what an IPA meant.
Oh, no, you didn't.
he did. He needed to explain it. I know what it
going.
meant. Come on, I don't know anything.
You get your turn.
All right, so first of all, I chose Captain Badass because I saw a badass. So I'm like, you know what? This better be a badass beer. So that's why I chose it, It don't got nothing to do with the imagery on the can, but when I actually taste it, it's actually pretty good. It was better than the first beer that I got.
Here we
So
go.
I really like it. And
What
like
is
I
it?
said, from
What
a
does it?
fake beer drinker,
What does
because
it
I don't
taste like?
beer, but
What are the flavors you're getting in your mouth?
I can't answer that question. I don't know what the flavor is.
It doesn't even matter about like what's the first thing that comes to your brain when you take a sip?
Sipping thing.
All right, so the first thing that comes to my brain is that it's pretty smooth. You understand? Now, the problem that I have with certain beers is that it got that strong beer taste that make me and I don't like it. But this is pretty smooth. It makes me like it, and
Strong IPAs generally give you that kick in the back of the throat.
That's what that do? Okay. All right.
All right, Ronnie, you're up. What beer did you choose? Why? What's your flavor?
So after I lubricated myself with the first beer was me getting in touch with my feminine side, drinking
is a great beer.
Yeah, but it was black cherry. It was black cherry. Yeah, black cherry. So I decided to step it up a notch and get in touch with my Metro side and go with the cider. But
okay.
it's a little bit better than the black cherry. It's a wolf at the door, because I'm a wolf.
Oh, it's funny. When you first mentioned that beer, you said wolf at the back door, and I said that's a perfect beer for you.
I agree.
But it came out
So
with
take a sip and tell the audience what you're tasting, what flavors.
First of all, look at the color.
I got my sunglasses on, so I can't really tell, but it looks a little
Fantastic.
a little foggy.
It's dark. It's not opaque at all like Daryl's is. You could tell that there's cider in here. So you could taste the cider in it, but it's not overpowering. It's not like you're drinking an Angry Orchard. This is like you're drinking like a good beer with a touch of cider. It's phenomenal.
Did you just disrespect Angry Orchard?
I did not disrespect Angry Orchard. I made a comparison between Angry Orchard and Wolf at the Door.
They sleep on Angry Orchard, but it's delicious.
The green apple? Oh my
the
God.
rose.
The rosé?
Yes.
Oh, you are so feminine.
Whatever. It tastes
I love it.
delicious.
I love it.
Shout out to my audience who's going to be furious for picking a specialty IPA store to bring two non-beer drinkers to. I picked a Finback. I actually told the bartender at the front, give me something I've never tasted before, because I'm a creature of habit, so I usually go for something I'm comfortable with. I know the brewery Finback, but this is Oscillation 29. I've not taken a sip yet.
Sounds like a fan.
That is a delicious beer. First thing that comes to mind is it's like hoppy and citrusy. I want to say maybe grapefruit.
Nice.
And yeah, shout out to Finback. I think are they in Brooklyn? I don't know. Roger fact checked us, but we're gonna get right back into it. Okay?
Zach, you got a little. No, you missed it. A little.
Ronnie's fucking with me. We're gonna get right back into it. We ended with talking about how important the human aspect is. You guys come across people all the time that either have it or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot has to do with nature versus nurture and how they were raised. But when you think about the human aspect of satisfying customers, we're talking about one guy who deals with all the customer complaints, and we're talking about another guy who's breaking the news to customers if it's realistic or not, based upon what they're telling them during the confirmation calls. So when you think about that, the human aspect, what comes to mind?
Okay, the human aspect. First of all, when you're dealing with people, you have to have a human side of it, because people can sense when you being like robotic, so to speak. You understand? They typically don't adapt well to people that's being robotic, especially in a delicate situation. You understand? So you have to express that human side just to make sure you can connect with the person that you're dealing with. Whether it's the customer or whether it's someone that you're working with, you have to just be personable with that individual just to make sure you get whatever words you need across.
So like when you think about that, like what do you typically start with, right? Because you're the guy who has to break the bad news. Mm-hmm. You're the guy telling him, hey, I gotta let you go. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, I'm sorry that we hit your car or destroyed your apartment. Mm-hmm. Listen, it's not like every job is this way. I want to just put this disclaimer out there. But when it happens, we call in the Sandman, we call in the closer, Daryl Bradley, to make sure that the customer understands. So like when you think about that, how would you typically break news where you have to be honest and transparent about them, but you're also trying to get them to understand everything's going to be all right, we're going to fix whatever we broke?
Well, first of all, you got to come in smooth. You can't come in aggressive because aggression matches aggression. So when you come like that, people are automatically going to be on the defense. So when I come in apologetic because, for one, you have to let them know that we messed up. We owning up to our mistakes, and that's what it's about. When you owning up to whatever it is that we did wrong, people are more open to hearing what is the next step. What is the solution to the situation?
So step one, admit you're wrong.
Step one is admit that we're wrong, and then apologizing to the person and just let them know what's the route they want to take. You understand? Because there's going to be different ways. There's a way that you want to rectify the situation, but there may be a different way that person wants the situation rectified. So I just got to hear them out first, and then if our way is a little bit different, maybe we counter and meet in the middle, But let's let them know that you in safe hands, we owning up to what we did, and we're going to take care of you because we want you to come back.
So step number 2, build rapport.
Absolutely.
And make sure they understand, same team, we're not against each other.
Absolutely.
And step 3, which you kind of went over quickly, but I think is really the key, is let the customer decide how to rectify the situation. Mm-hmm. A lot of entrepreneurs that are watching this, they might immediately jump to, I'm going to give you the job for free. I'm going to give you $100 off. I love how when I listen to you talk to a customer, it's like, I know what I'm going to do. What do you need? What do I need to do for you to make you feel like we did the right thing in this situation?
Mm-hmm. So you have to start that way, because you don't want to jump out the window and do something way drastic that's not necessary. That's number one, So if you jump out the window and say, automatically, let's give the job for free, for instance,
yep.
Right? That might not even be what they wanted. Maybe they wanted just a little bit of money back, or sometimes they don't even want the money back.
Totally.
What they want is that to be heard, So
say that one more time.
A lot of people don't even necessarily want the money back. They want to be heard. So what I try to find out when I'm dealing with customers who have issues is, what do you like? What would you like us to do to rectify the situation? What can I do to make you feel better about what happened? Because at the end of the day, I want you to either use us again or refer us and let us know, what, they messed up, but these guys came through, and I would definitely recommend it, because a lot of companies are not doing that.
Ronnie, I think you confirmed, do you know how many jobs we did last year?
We must have done about 10,000 jobs.
Okay, and how many of those 10,000 jobs did you confirm?
9,000 of them.
And the other 1,000 must have been the weekend?
Or people who didn't pick up the phone or answer a text message or an email.
So when you think about that, right, how important is that phone call in establishing not only the lines of communication, but also expectation?
Managing expectations is one of the most important things that I do. I mean, like anything else, running the operations of the Junk Luggers is 50% psychology. I mean, whether you're dealing with customers or you're dealing with your employees or the people who are on the trucks working for you, you have to know how to deal with people, and managing expectations is a tremendous part of that. Somebody could want the world, and I could want to give them the world, and I could have, 50% of the resources to make that happen. But at the end of the day, half of that's not going to happen. You got to be realistic with it. You got to be honest. You got to tell somebody not what they want to hear, but what is actually going to take place if the circumstances are set up in the way that they're set up. And maybe the circumstances are set up in a perfect way that it takes place exactly like they want it to. But maybe it's not. And you got to be able to foresee that and explain that to them in a coherent way that they understand it. And you got to give them options. You got to give them the options, whether you make a change, whether you don't make a change. But at the end of the day, they got to understand what they're getting into. And the only way to do that is to know your business.
How many businesses do you come across that do what we're talking about?
Few, if any.
So when you think about it, not our business and another business that this has happened to you, what comes to mind?
So I worked for a company before I worked for the Junk Luggers, and the motto in this moving company was to push the customer to agree to pay as much money as possible. If we make a mistake, we do not admit the mistake or ever say you're sorry. You abide by the rules of the play. And that was basically, if we make a mistake, there is no compensation. At the end of the job, you are going to pay us for it, whether it happened in your timeline or our timeline or some non-existent timeline that just so happened to manifest itself. And there is no apology for it, because if you admit you're wrong, then you have to give something back. Customer service, customer satisfaction was not a part of the business. The business was at a certain level, and I think the owner was happy with that level. And he didn't want to push to be greater than he was. He was complacent. And if I had to look at it today, considering that was probably the leading moving company at its time, I would say there's probably 3 or 4 ahead of them now.
Wow.
So, I mean, what we do is unlike anything I've seen before.
Can you name some moving companies that you, for viewers watching, if they were moving, that you'd go with?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect Moving, great guys. Shout out to Perfect Moving. Perfect Moving, some of the best guys that I've met in a really long time. Truly care about their customers, truly care about satisfaction. Have helped us out when we were in a time of need.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So we had a situation where, unfortunately, we had an employee tear out one of our gates to our parking lots. We need gates in our parking lots because our trucks are our assets, and our assets need to be protected. Because of that, we needed to find an emergency last-minute place to park our trucks, and Perfect Moving stepped up to the plate and asked us for nothing. You know, we had the pleasure of going out to dinner with these guys, and these guys are gentlemen. They're great guys. One of the owners, I swear to God, I worked with this guy in the past, years back, but he's a fantastic person. I love those guys. I spoke to them about collaborating on a job yesterday, and hopefully we will be able to do that. Simply Moving, I worked with their owner. He was my general manager when I worked with another moving company. Great guys.
So it seems like most of these moving companies, they're all interconnected in some way.
Honestly, so a lot of the owners of some of these new moving companies, which are really succeeding today, worked for the same company that I worked for years ago. And I think they learned from the mistakes of the past.
So let's relate that to furniture and junk removal.
Yeah.
People all the time ask me, why are we doing this? Why are we telling our secrets? You know, when I say that, what do you think of, D? Like, why would we be so open and transparent about what makes us successful?
Just because it makes us successful doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make somebody else successful. You know, the tools that we use and we operate with won't work with everybody. You understand?
For sure. Yeah.
So we tell them, we give them a little bit of the sauce, but we can't give you the whole recipe, you know, because with that, then you'll just go and try to change your whole game plan, you know. And right now, I feel like what we're doing is a lot different than what other junk removal companies are doing.
Is there anyone doing what we're doing?
Not that I've saw, especially not when I was on the truck. When I was on the truck, I seen everybody pretending to do what we do, but then behind the scenes.
And when you say that, like, what are they pretending to do?
Okay, I seen other companies pretending to donate, pretending to recycle. But when we was going around to different donation centers around the boroughs, and I'd never seen them. I only seen them in passing. I only seen them at the dump. I seen them dumping recyclables. I seen them dumping quality stuff, or I seen them doing off the truck specials.
Yep.
You know, and that's not what we do here.
Honestly, I feel like another reason why we give out what we do and our trade secrets is because it's really not a secret. It's a recipe for success, and we happen to do it. It's not a secret. At the end of the day, our mission is to make the world a better place and make money while doing it. And if we can make the world a better place by giving somebody else advice to do the same thing we're doing so they can get, you know, healthy too, or make money too, what's the harm in that? There's enough for all of us to eat. We want to make the world a better place. Unfortunately, people see dollar signs and they ignore the rest, and they don't see the capital gains that can be made by working with the method that we've come up with.
And what is that method? What are you referring to?
It's customer service. It's customer satisfaction. It all revolves around the customer. Granted, we have our margins, but our margins mean nothing if our customers aren't happy, because if our customers aren't happy next year, they won't be there.
Most companies are afraid.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
But we're talking about such a low percentage want a refund now because of the fact that you're going through all these hoops for them, right? You're talking to the guys, you're talking to the customers, you're talking to the management companies, you're admitting your mistakes. Mm-hmm. How many people do you think nowadays just are afraid to just own up to the fact that, you know what, I did fuck up?
A lot. A lot of companies don't even hear you out. And just based on my experience with speaking to other customers, and how joyful they feel just for me to reach out to them, it goes a long way. And then some of them will tell me, like, you know what, you're the first company that ever reached out, that ever heard me, and ever tried to do something to try to make me feel better about your company. I will recommend you. You understand? I will recommend you to people I know, because with this level of care, you can't find that anywhere, you know?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the secret sauce. You know, I could tell you it's donations, I could tell you it's the amount of trucks that we have, but I know it's not the truth. The truth is the human aspect, the owning up to mistakes, which we're talking about is such a small amount. Majority of our customers are thrilled. And when I think about that, I think about the mistakes I made in the past. You know, I think it's just the kind of person I am. I should be happy and grateful that out of 10,000 customers, 9,000 of them are thrilled, right? But I think about the mistakes that we made in the past, and I think about that not only with the mistakes of the customers, but owning a business, right? D, maybe you can attest to the fact that in the past, my style of leadership was more of a dictatorship than of a capitalist market, right?
Yep.
And how many people did I rub the wrong way?
Quite a few.
And why? Why did I rub them the wrong way?
Well, I felt like your delivery, your approach, you needed some fine tuning, you know?
And why do you think that my approach was so terrible, knowing me now?
Well, it's with growth. You understand? You started at a very young age, so you felt like, you know, you needed to be I think you felt like you needed to be a certain way in order to gain the respect that you needed, you know? And
totally.
Then you realize over time, it's not that you need to be a certain way, is the people that you were working with and the delivery that you have with them. And then over time you grew and you stopped doing that. And you know, and sometimes you gotta step back and let other people do for you what they're better at than you are. You understand?
Oof,
you
love
know? So a lot of times in the past, you weren't the greatest at like voicing, because you were so emotionally attached to it.
That's key right there.
Yes.
The emotional aspect.
Yes, you were so emotionally attached to it that I guess you may have taken things personal, and it might not have been that in cases, you know? So I had to learn. I learned from you, actually. I learned how you handle things, and then it taught me to handle it differently, because I had to separate myself from the emotional aspect, because I didn't have that same emotion that you had. So I can talk to somebody and let them know how they went wrong and and how bad it was without being angry at them. Like, listen, you messed up and you beyond repair. I don't have a reason to be angry with you. However, this relationship is over. It's over, you know, so it's about delivery.
It's definitely about delivery, and I also think a lot of entrepreneurs that are going to watch this, they're thinking to themselves, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to make sure that person feels like I'm not being emotional. And looking back, I definitely didn't have the time, right? I was trying to fit too much into every single moment. But at the same time, if I'm going to have a conversation with Daryl, and I'm going to break the news to Daryl, whether he's a customer or he's one of my coworkers, and I'm going to tell him the bad news, that is time. And the amount of time that it takes to treat someone respectfully and be honest with someone is pretty much equivalent to the time it takes for me to just blow off the situation and move on. So I think, you know, a big learning lesson for me, double digits now into entrepreneurship, is about how, and we just keep going back and forth, but the human aspect, right? Like, if you're gonna do something, you've committed to this business, and someone has committed to your vision. And I don't give a shit if you're watching this right now and you're saying, I don't have 100 employees, I only have 2 employees. Those 2 employees need to feel that they are loved, and they are being driven by the leader that they look up to and respect. And a lot of times it comes down to just the honesty aspect that you've been talking about, right? Where just, if I was just like, listen, Ronnie, like, I got a lot going on, and I can't give it as much of time as someone like you, but I know you are going to be as good of an expert as I am. Otherwise, you're going to make a mistake and learn from it. I know you respect that way more than me waiting till I can't wait anymore, exploding, and then walking away like, why did I just approach that situation like that way?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I struggle with myself, you know, because I am emotionally attached to this business, and I am emotionally attached to the people who who stand to benefit from the success of this business. You know, the people here are my family. So when somebody does something that maybe I don't agree with or I don't think is in the best interest of the business, I take it personally. And sometimes I do react out of emotions. And that's something I personally need to work on, or something I've been working on that I need to get better at and I'll always be struggling with. But at the end of the day, you know, people want to be treated like people. You know, people want to feel like they're empowered. They want to be cared about. You know, you can't control everybody. There's always going to be the bad eggs that, you know, we have to part ways with. But for the most part, the people who we don't have to part ways with, they just want to be heard just like anybody else. They want to be cared about, and they want to be recognized. And I think it's a delicate balance.
I love that. Something applicable to everyone listening, like, what would you tell your 10-year ago younger self?
It's not about what's going to happen today. It's about what's going to happen down the line tomorrow. You know, that's what you got to work today for. You got to work today for your success tomorrow. You know, don't worry about your little apartment, your little studio apartment that's got a couple of cockroaches. Don't worry about what's in your refrigerator today. Worry about what's going to be in your refrigerator down the line. Focus, be honest, care about other people, be loyal to those who are loyal to you, and go out and kick ass.
What I would tell my 10-year ago self is it can't rain every day. Mm-hmm. A lot of time people walk around with dark clouds on and feel like it's why me, it's only me. But it can't rain every day. And at some point, you know, an opportunity is going to present itself. So you can't close yourself off to what you want to do in life. You have to open yourself up to what life presents to you. And for a long time, I closed myself off to what I wanted to do instead of being open-minded to what life is bringing me. Sometimes the direction that you want to go may not be the direction that is meant for you, you know? And I learned that the hard way. Stop focusing on, you can't, don't get me wrong, chase dreams. But you also have to be open-minded to what falls in your lap. And sometimes what falls in your lap is something that's going to change your life and take you to a better place, you know? And for an example, here, Junk Luggers fell in my lap. I was going off in other different directions. I thought I was going to either be a paralegal or an attorney or somewhere. And I came here. I thought I was going to be here for 7 months, or not even 7 months. I thought I was going to be here for a couple of months, and then I wound up being here for 8 years. And I feel like, you know, if I would have went in a different direction, who knows where I would have went. But I'm in a better position today than I was a long time ago. And I didn't see this vision. I didn't see this vision necessarily 10 years ago. You understand? I just had to let life play out.
I like that. I think so much of their lives and plan it in a step-by-step basis to where it's like you don't even know what you're good at. You get tunnel vision to a certain path that you're following from childhood, or you're following through college or whatever, and you haven't experienced life. You don't know what you're good at. Experience life. Go out, travel, try different things, find out what you love, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you feel like you're getting up miserable going to work in the morning, and do that.
Look how much pressure it is to be successful young.
Oof.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of pressure to be successful young. You have pressure to be successful right out of high school.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like you're supposed to be making a ton of money right out of high school. And even people around your age will make you feel like you're supposed to be making way more than what you are. And in reality, you're not. You know, you're looking at the small percentage of people that escalate that fast, you know? And then you make yourself feel worthless, you know, useless, and feel like you're not worthy of what you have, which also makes it hard for you to appreciate the good things that come to you. It's not until you get there and you look back and like, damn, you know, like I done kicked myself in the ass so many times and I didn't realize like I'm in a far better place than I was a long time ago or not so long ago, you know?
Because that struggle builds you. That struggle is what makes you who you are.
Definitely does.
That struggle is what makes you really realize what you care about and what's important to you. Without the struggle, there is no success. I don't care how rich you are.
Yep.
Wow, that was awesome, you guys. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
You know, something that comes to mind is Daryl one time got a better job offer. What was the job offer? I can't remember.
It was
Paralegal work, right?
Yes, it was a paralegal with the Department of Education.
And we had 10 employees at the time, a couple interns. And I remember he told Phil, this is a good opportunity, and I'm going to take it. And I remember saying to Phil, we couldn't lose you. So do you remember what we did?
Yep.
What did we do?
I was not a trainer at the time. You know, I was just the driver. I was schooling a lot of people, but I wasn't a trainer. So what you did tell me was, listen, I cannot match the Department of Education. But what I can do is make sure I put you in a better position to grow yourself and to grow your family. You know, I'll give you the best jobs and the best opportunities. And over time, you will be a lot better than what you will grow to be right now, you know? And I was on the fence, but then I was like, you know what?
What was the kicker, though? Do you remember? I knew Daryl loved amusement parks.
Yes.
So I went all out. I spent thousands of dollars, and at the time I had nothing. I was living in a 5th floor walk-up.
I saw your...
And I rented a party bus.
Yep.
And we partied all the way to Six Flags. Did Wintrell come with us?
He did.
I think so.
He did.
And I wrote, my rule was, he was young. I remember my rule with Wintrell was, I would do 1 roller coaster a year. And I remember we went to Petrified. We went to New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And I did the Bizarro.
Yeah.
And it was the scariest moment of my entire life. G-force, craziest experience ever. And I remember I didn't even bring it up to you. I waited until we were on the ride home and you had some drinks in you, and I said, Phil and I went and attacked you, and we went in for the kill, and we're like, what do we got to do to keep you? And that's when we threw out all the loops, fast tracking to trainer, adding value into his life. So if there's anything that you can learn here, it's like, man, looking back at that time, maybe I spent $2,000-$3,000 and I couldn't even pay my own rent.
Wow.
But I knew, because I'm sick in the head, that if I treated Daryl well, I never knew it would be, you know, what are we on, year 8 or 9?
8.
Year 8, he was going to be director of Of course I couldn't have known that, but I knew how important loyalty was.
Yeah, see, that's what's different about you and the Junk Luggers. That any other business employee is an asset that's tradable, dispensable. You recognize the value in people. You recognize the relationship that you have with those people, and you want to help build those people up, not only because it's value to you, but because overall it's value to them and it's value to the business. Because the more we care about you and the business, the better everything is, the cohesion.
Maybe, but I also think, you know, like, Daryl brought up the level, you know? It's something about having, not the Michael Jordan, but like the Stephen Curry, where this guy is gonna absolutely hustle. Like when I think about when Daryl showed up to the job, perfect uniform every single time. Early every single time. Brought his own equipment to the job every single time. Never had to question that. And I think about that's what obviously made you successful, is you got the basics down, right? And so many people they're just like, I want now. I'm not thinking about the future like you were talking about. And because of that, they forget the basic details.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing.
Any questions you guys have for me?
Questions? I don't have a question. I just wanted to piggy off of what you was just.
Go for it.
See, like, I like that, you know, because I was about to leave that time, and you know, Zach just came to me and kind of like persuade me to like, listen, you know, over time this will be the best choice to make, you know. And then, you know, I feel like Zach always saw the potential in me, you know, because when my shoulder was killing me for a long time, and that's when I was on the truck, and I came to Zach and I said, listen, Zach, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know how much time I got left here, you know. I said my shoulder is killing me. On most days, I'm on an 8 to 10 in pain. My time, I got about a few months left with this lugging stuff. So, you know, and I was just being honest with him because I feel like Zach brought me on. Zach interviewed me directly himself, so I had to be upfront and honest with Zach personally. And I brought that to Zach, that I was in pain and my time was dwindling. I wanted to say within that week, Zach came to me like, we have a proposition for you. we want to try to get you off the truck and into the office. And I'm like, I don't know. I can try it out, but let's see how it goes. And slowly but surely, we started transitioning me from the truck to the office just to see if I was capable of doing the job. So he had belief in me when I didn't have a vision for the office, you know what I'm saying? Because I enjoyed being in the field. So I didn't have a vision for the office, but he saw it, especially when he knew I was on my way out. I can't lose one of my best assets. I got to figure out what do I need to do to keep him on board. And he presented me with an opportunity. I started, doing both in the field, in the office, like, a hybrid, so to speak. I did a hybrid. They saw that I had potential off the truck as well as on the truck. And then one day they just yanked me completely off the truck. And then I was just in the office from that point forward. And they always try to figure out how to grow me even further. They didn't even have a role for me when I first came off the truck. They made a role for me and just kept growing it year after year.
Love it. I think there's an important learning lesson here. Whether you're watching this because you know me or you know junk luggers or you like entrepreneurship, some of you are willing to give up, whether it's about your relationship or parenting or your parents or your friends or business. And it's probably because you're afraid. And if there's anything I've learned to this point in my life, it's just no regrets. Follow your heart, follow your instinct. And like, some of you guys are just so willing to give up all this hard work because it gets tough. School gets tough, I'm done with it. My relation gets tough, all of a sudden, another girl will make my life so much easier. Mm-hmm. Parenting gets tough, I'm just done with it. I got to worry about me. And what you're going to learn in life is that the things that are the toughest, I know we've already talked about it, but are the best rewards.
Absolutely.
Like all these times that I want to give up in my life and I didn't give up, man, am I so proud of that.
That's when you experience the best feelings.
Absolutely.
When you don't give up and you hit that next level, when you didn't even believe in it in yourself. If you don't keep pushing, you're never going to hit that. You're never going to feel that. And it's an incredible feeling. I hope everybody gets to experience it.
Absolutely.
That concludes episode 12, the Lug Life Podcast. Thank you so much, Daryl, Ronnie. We absolutely crushed this one. Like it, comment it, subscribe to it. Tell us some people you want us to interview. Am I missing anything?
I think we covered everything.
Thank you, guys. If you're watching this right now, you've just watched an hour of us at Astoria Bier and Cheese, and I think ultimately we're doing this because we believe in it, and we think that there's a lot of people that can learn and grow their business. We love you. Thank you so much for watching, and shout out to Astoria Bier and Cheese for letting us do the podcast here.